So hello everyone. So as in the module 3, we are discussing about the core cloud services. Okay. So in our last videos, let me discuss about our storage category. So this time we are going to discuss about the networking. And in next we will discuss about the compute category. So AWS gives the networking as a virtual private cloud. Manage virtual networks and connectivity, that is the networking part. In AWS it's called VPC, Azure it's called virtual network, and GCP it's called virtual private cloud. Okay, so if we come more on the networking part, here's the networking part. We're coming, and then we will start do some basic discussion on the networking, and then go to the practical demonstration of that. So cloud networking is the backbone of the communication in the cloud. It connects the resource securely and efficiently across the region, services, or even in the hybrid environment. What does it mean? Backbone of the communication. We are creating our resources. We are creating our different resources. So make the enable communication between them, either remote access or in the same environment or even for the hybrid environment. This backbone, this networking is like a backbone. We need to configure this backbone. We need to understand all the concept of backbone of this virtual network. So what are the different components we need to consider when we are talking about the networking components? So very first is the VPC part. Very first is the VPC part. In AWS it's called VPC. In virtual network it's called VNet, and virtual private cloud it's again called VPC. Second component is the subnet. We will discuss all the points. Either we have discussed all these things in the theoretical section, but still before starting the demonstration, to revise everything in a fast way, we will discuss all these matters, these topics. So subnets in AWS, subnets per availability zone base, VNets, subnets per VMnet base, and in VPC regional base. And then we also discuss about the some firewall, where we discuss about some security group part in our networking. And then next video we will discuss about the compute part, the EC2. I will discuss about the security group that time also. So right now we are mainly focusing on VPC and subnet part in this particular video session. So first understand what is VPC. Either we have discussed already, but still revise it. A logical isolated network in the cloud where you can launch your resources like your virtual machine or any database or any resource you create. So VP is just you can say a traditional data center. In older time, you set up your own data center. We are responsible for all things from physical setup to their configurations, installations, and even what the IP range you are going to use, then subnetting part, creating different logical subnets there, then for the security. Same thing, apart from the physical setup, everything is your responsibility to set up everything in the VPC also. So just similar to the traditional data center, where you have to decide IP range, subnets, CID are going to use, then configuring the routing table, internet gateway, net, everything you have to decide. So acts like a private data center in a cloud. So you can consider it like just if you go here, it's complete cloud. In this cloud, we have different regions and many things. prevention and availability zones, then in this particular region, your own personal data center, like in a building, building, you have different floors. In different floors, you have one your apartment. So this is your apartment. So you can say totally isolated from the other, because there can be hundred and thousand millions of customer with the Amazon. So whatever the VPC you are creating means you are creating an isolated zone for your resources only. Up clear? Totally isolated from other, your own private network here in the cloud environment. Up clear? Feature, you need to set up your own custom IP range here, CIDR block. So first I want to make it clear, you should be very much familiar with the IP subnetting CIDR range. Otherwise, you cannot perfectly plan your network anytime. Then about the routing table we need to configure. Then internet gateway we need to configure, and net for the internet access. Clear? So these all we have to finalize. So after this, we need to create the subnets. We need to create subnets here. We create one IP range, we create one zone here, my personal private network. Then we have to decide, okay, suppose in your home also, some is the public area or guest area, and some is your private region, like your bedroom or your locker room or anything can be. So you have to define all that also. You have to divide your personal logical space or personal logical data center, whatever you say, inside the cloud. Then you have to divide that into the specific areas, specific sections, so that you can organize and isolate your resources. Suppose this is my public subnet, this is my private subnet. So I want my data center, oh sorry, database in my private area and application server in public area. So for that purpose, we divide our VPC into the different sections. So that can be the public and that can be the private subnet that we need to define there in the VPC. So we all do this practically. Okay. So let's come to the console now. We are on the console now. So first we will create here VPC, means create an entire in networking part here. In our upcoming video, we will launch compute resources there like EC2. In this section, we just focus on the VPC part here. It's really very important topic. You have to focus in this as much as possible. So let's come on the VPC. This is the VPC console. So I forgot to tell you here, if you want to go to VPC, you can go from here also. That is the networking and content delivery, and you will find the VPC option. Or you can directly search from here VPC. Clear? So this is the VPC console. So by default, you can see here we are in the North California region. One VPC by default available here. Go to any North Virginia, maybe it's two. I have already created one, but by default one VPC is there. If you go to Ohio region, here you will find the two. One. What we do, we create custom VPC as per our requirement. Every region have one VPC there by default. Clear? I have shown so many reasons. Everywhere one default VPC will be there. So no, okay, we are continue with the Oregon region. So here create VPC option. We create the VPC, then we create the subnet, then we create the internet gateway or route table. So if we tell you one thing, what are the different steps that we need to follow to create a VPC? First step, create VPC. Second step, subnet, create subnet. Third step, create internet gateway. Okay, and fourth step, we need to create route table, and configure the route table. Clear? So we have to follow these four steps to create a successful way to create a VPC. All clear? So let's start to create the VPC. So go to your VPC. So we already have one default VPC as I have told you. Every region have one default VPC. So what we do, we are create our own custom VPC. If we create right now, we don't have any VPC. If we create any resource like EC2 or database, automatically goes to the default VPC. But we want to create a custom network. Give a name here, my hyphen VPC. No regional specific, no name should be unique. You can give any name here. Like in S3, the name should be unique globally. But there is not such problem in this case. You can give any name. Then CIDR range. What CIDR range you want to give here for this particular VPC 10.0.0.0/16. This CIDR range must be in between 16 to 28. If I try to give here 15 and try to create it, it will give me an error. Or if I give 28 also, 28 or 29, then when we create, it will give me error. Just create it. Look here. If I try to give 15, 15 and create it, error. This range must be between 16 to 128. Clear? Then tenancy will be the default. We are not going to use any dedicated. Why? It's highly paid. So right now we are just for the demonstration here. So for the free tier eligible is the default tenancy. So everything is done. VPC, my VPC name, then we have to choose the CIDR range. So that's why I told you because when next time we are going to create the subnets. So then again we do the CID, we create the CIDR out of this range that I define here. So you should be familiar. If you are not familiar, then please go back and learn about IP subnetting and VLSM CIDR. Otherwise, it becomes difficult for you to understand what I have written here. So create the VPC, successfully create it. This is the first step. So go to your VPC, you can see here default VPC is one there, and second we have created default IP range was 172.31.0.0/16, but I have given in my VPC, I have given the range of 10. This is a DHCP options and everything is here. By default, when you create, main table is available, main network AC is available, but nothing will be in the custom VPC case. So clear? Next is the subnet part. Next is the subnet part. You can see here these are the default subnets. This is a default subnet. What I do, I will create my subnets on. Now you can see here the option where you want to create the subnet. Either you want to create in the default or you want to create in your own custom VPC. Yes, naturally. I want to create my custom VPC. So here is the CIDR range. Here is the CIDR range. 10 that I have chosen when I have created the VPC. So public hyphen subnet. So I will create two subnet here. One is a public and one is a private. Availability zone. Three availability. I told you it's a four here. 2ZG1, 2ZG1, 2ZG1. Here, A, B, C, and D. In oregano, we have four availability zones, so you can choose any one as per your requirement. But right now, I'm saying to the Amazon, you choose it, or you can choose a specific availability zones also. Then CIDR range that I have chosen was a 10.0.0.0/16. So now I have to assign a CIDR range out of this for this public subnet. For this public subnet, the custom subnet that I'm going to create, I want to create one CIDR range. So I will choose 0.0/24. So I create a subnet from this CIDR range. I told you to divide your subnet VPC into subnets. This was a VIP VPC CIDR range. Out of that, I have chosen this one. So hope you understand what is the requirement of IP here. Create the subnet. Done. Successful. We have created one public subnet here. I will create one more with the private subnet. Process is same. Choose your own VPC. CIDR range is same you have seen here for the VPC. Given in name here, private hyphen subnet. Availability is only with the default. Now the IP range IP.1.0.0/24. Hope understand. If not, please go with the IP topic. So for two different subnet in VPC, I have chosen this IP range out of this. Subnetting on subnetting, we have done. Done. Soft. Now we have two subnets here in one VPC, and we have two subnets here. One is a private that I have created public and private. So second step done. Third step is to create an internet gateway so that the resources that I create in my public or private also, we should have one internet gateway here. By default, one internet gateway is here that is connected with our public VPC. Oh, sorry, default VPC. But we need to create one more internet gateway here. My hyphen IGW. IGW. Nothing more I have to do. Create internet gateway. So when we go to the internet gateway, you can see here the state is detached. Either we have created the internet gateway, but still it need to be attached with a VPC. Naturally, I will connect it with my VPC and attach. So so this internet gateway now get attached with, you can see here, my VPC. This is connected with default, and that IGW I have created now connected with this VPC. Done. So now we are on the fourth step. We are going on to the fourth step. Similarly, we have created one internet gateway for my public. But what about the resources that I will create in my private subnet? I want to keep them private. I want to keep that resources that I will create in private subnet, like my database server. Public server subnet is for like server like public facing server, my website hosting server, my app server. But back the database will be in private subnet. Sometime we require the internet access on this. Then how we can do that? Why we require to update Windows update, or you can say patch update, or even SQL Server database. Suppose we are putting here to update that application also. So for that purpose, we need to create NAT gateway. No default NAT gateway. So if we create, I'm not going to create, but showing you the options to create NAT gateway. Give any name here, NAT or something, whatever name you want to give. Select the subnet. Keep it in mind one thing. When we create the NAT gateway, it always create in public. Whenever we create the NAT gateway, it always in the public subnet. But when we are going to attach it, we attach it with the private. Because our aim is to enable the resources in the private communicate over the internet. Always attach with the private, but created always in public. Got it? This is the option of elastic IP. Each machine or each service that need to communicate over the internet should have one public IP. And in that case, we need to have a static public IP. So when we click on the allocate elastic IP means static public IP, what happened? One public IP will be get assigned to your account. One public IP Amazon assigned to your account. So it's highly paid. You have to pay the money for it. So till then, that IP is linked to your account. It keep creating the bill for you. Okay, right now we can attach it here. But if in some cases we delete the NAT, this IP get disassociated from the NAT, but still associated with your account. So it's your responsibility. If you delete the NAT service, then must release that IP from your account. Don't forget to release IP from your account. Got it? So in this way, simple process to create the NAT gateway. So let's come back to our VPC. Delete what we have done. Delete. We have created the VPC. We have created the subnet and internet gateway. Three things is done. Fourth step that we have to do is the route table. Is the route table. So one route table for the default VPC and one route table for my VPC custom that I have created. One default automatically get created. But what I do, I will create again a custom route table. One for the public subnet and one for the private subnet. So public hyphen subnet VPC, you have to choose naturally. I want to create in my VPC. Create. So one route table I have created public. I will create one more by the name of have created public now. Public has been created. Now I will create one more private. Private hyphen subnet. Connect to the my VPC. Naturally, I want to create and create. Done. So has been created, but now we need to configure it. Configure this. I had written the subnet. I just change it with the route table. RT. RT. Okay. Save. So it's easy to understand. And RT. Otherwise, sometimes get confused by the name. So now I need to associate this particular routing table with the subnets, public subnet and private subnet. That's why I changed the name. I forget. So I do this mistake. So, but I correct it also. So private routing table we associate with the private subnet. Till yet nothing is private public. More configuration we do, then comes into the play. So go to the routing table. There is a private subnet association. Right now you can see there is no association. It's an empty routing table. Associate it, edit with the private and associate. So now you can see here explicitly associated with private subnet. So now come to the public, do the same thing. Subnet association is also empty. So edit subnet association with the public. So now they are associated. So now your routing table is associated with subnet mask. But in the routing table, one more thing now you can see here, there is in the subnets, we have associated and have the public IP, have the IPs also. But if we go to the route table, it is also associated with local. What happening? We can create as many as subnet in a VPC. By default, they are able to communicate with each other internally. That's why showing here. So locally connected all the networks. If you go here and check the routing table, look here, same IP series because they are on the same main CIDR, same VPC. So it's showing me here the VPC CIDR. But the thing that the public where we create that resources that we need to enable the communication with internet. So what I do, go to the root. Here we add one root. Local root is connected here by the 10.0.0.16. Add the root. That root is internet root. 0000 is the default root. Where how you go to the internet via internet gateway. Which internet gateway that I have created? My IGW. Oh, clear? We add one more root for the resource inside my VPC public subnet so that they will be able to communicate with the internet while using this internet gateway route and save the changes. Now I think everything has been done. So what we have done till here, very first we create one VPC, then we create two subnets. After that we create internet gateway. In the subnet you can see it shows me the CIDR range as 10.0.0.24 and 10.0.1.24. Then we configure the internet, create the internet gateway and attach this internet gateway with VPC, with my VPC. You can see here, my VPC attach. And last step is the route table. In the route table, we do the subnet association and then configure the routes. So this is some of the component that we define, that we created in our VPC. We create the VPC, subnet and all that. In next video, we will create the resources within this VPC. Clear? So this is the networking part we have done. So hope you learned something. See you in the next video with next topic. Till then, stay safe.